Today, we're going to break down an absolutely brilliant animated horror story. And we're not just here to get scared, right? We're going to figure out how the creators did it, how they built all that suspense, messed with our heads, and then just pulled the rug out from under us with an incredible twist.
So the story kicks off with this really ominous line. It's all about this 15-year-old kid named Daniel. He's got it all. Wealthy parents, a loving home, a perfect life. But with a line like that, you just know that perfect world is about to come crashing down.
And right away, this is the big question the story wants you to ask yourself. As things start getting terrifying for Daniel, we're stuck wondering, is this a real, supernatural haunting? Or is this all just the tragic product of a shattered, grieving mind? The story walks that line so well.
All right, so let's set the scene. You've got Daniel, the only kid in this super wealthy family, and he's incredibly close with his parents. The story paints this perfect picture of happiness and stability, and that's so important because it really establishes just how far he's about to fall.
And boom! Just like that, his whole world is gone. There's a car accident one night, and both of his parents plus some other woman are killed instantly. In a single moment, he goes from having this perfect family to being an orphan, and he's forced to go live with relatives he barely even knows.
I mean, talk about a change of scenery. He goes from this life of luxury to a tiny little cottage out in the middle of nowhere. His aunt and uncle seem like his only hope. They're described as sweet, humble, caring people. But this is classic horror 101, right? You get the protagonist totally isolated, so there's no one to call for help when things start to go wrong.
So just as Daniel is trying to get his bearings, the whole vibe of the story just shifts. That quiet, sad grief, it gets replaced by something a whole lot scarier. The nights in that cottage stop being peaceful and start getting downright terrifying.
And this is where they pull out all the stops, using those classic ghost story tricks that we all know and, well, fear. Daniel sees a woman's face staring at him from his window. He hears footsteps walking around his bed in the total darkness. He just has this awful, constant feeling that someone is always watching him. It's incredibly effective stuff.
And here's the really cruel part. When he finally works up the nerve to tell his aunt and uncle, what do? They just brush it off. Oh, it must be your nightmare, Daniel. They're not just ignoring him. They're making him feel like he can't trust his own mind. He starts to think, wait, am I the one who's going crazy here? And right when we're all wondering if Daniel's losing it, the story does something incredibly clever. It pulls us away from the whole ghost idea and gives us a perfectly logical, scientific-sounding answer for all the terror.
So his aunt and uncle, they're acting super concerned. He's not eating, he's not sleeping, he's a mess. So they do what any loving relative would do, they take him to a psychiatrist. And this action, it makes them look like absolute saints. It's such a brilliant piece of misdirection.
And the psychiatrist puts a label on it. Schizophrenia. Brought on by, the unbelievable trauma of losing his parents. And suddenly it all seems to make sense, right? The face, the footsteps. It's not a ghost. It's a tragedy of the mind. For us, the audience, it just clicks.
So you've got this split, right? On one side, Daniel is absolutely convinced, a woman is haunting me. But on the other, you have the official diagnosis. It's all trauma-induced hallucinations. And the story does a fantastic job of pushing us to believe that second explanation is the real one.
And to seal the deal, there's a prescription. Daniel gets put on these really strong medications, and his aunt is very careful to make sure he takes them every single day. It all seems so responsible, but you gotta remember those pills because they are going to be a huge deal later on.
Okay, so this is it. This is where the story hits the accelerator and does not let up. Everything we've seen so far, the creepy cottage, the pills, the fear, it's all about to collide in one absolutely terrifying night.
The setup is just perfect for horror. Out of nowhere, the uncle gets really sick, the aunt has to rush him to the hospital, and Daniel's asleep, so she just locks the door and leaves him there, all alone.
So when Daniel wakes up and hears the car drive away, he realizes he's trapped, locked in the house with the woman from his nightmares. His panic just skyrockets. He's thinking, this is it. Tonight's the night she finally gets me. He's completely freaking out, and he's thinking, the pills! I need the pills! So he starts frantically searching the whole house, tearing through rooms, and that's what leads him right into his aunt's bedroom.
And this is the twist. He's rummaging through her wardrobe, looking for the medicine, but he finds something else. He finds a mask. And it's not just any mask. It looks exactly like the face he's been seeing at his window. And in that 1 second, Everything we thought we knew just shatters.
So that diagnosis, a total sham. The hauntings, they were real, all right, just not supernatural. Now we get to see the truth. And believe me, it is so much more terrifying than any ghost.
See, this was a cold, calculated plan from the very beginning. Step 1, get him alone in that cottage. Step 2, the aunt uses that mask to terrorize him every night. Step 3, use his very real fear to convince a doctor he's schizophrenic. And the end game? Step 4, get him declared insane, lock him away in an asylum, and steal his massive inheritance.
The big reveal. The real monsters weren't ghosts. They weren't in his head. They were the sweet and humble relatives who were supposed to be taking care of him. All of it just for money. Chilling, right?
Okay, now that our jaws are off the floor, let's pull back the curtain. Let's be story detectives for a minute. How on earth did they fool us so completely? What made that twist work so well?
It was so clever, wasn't it? They played on our expectations. We see a creepy house, a face in the window, and we think, aha, ghost story. Then they gave us this really believable red herring, his grief. It's totally plausible. Then they topped it off with the rational medical diagnosis, which makes us feel smart for figuring it out. And all that noise was just a smokescreen to hide the simplest, ugliest motive of all, greed.
And that's really what this story is all about, isn't it? It shows us that the scariest ghosts are sometimes the ones people invent to hide what they're really doing. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the real monsters are the ones standing right in front of us, smiling.